Welcome to 10-Minute IELTS, where I'll be giving you 10-minute strategies to pass the exam. Today, we'll be tackling IELTS Academic Writing Task 1. Here on the right, we have bar graphs, where on the left side, we have a template that can help you finish 150 words in 10 minutes. Let's start with the introduction. All we have to do is mention the type of diagram, which is a bar graph, or two. The bar graphs show, and then we copy paste the title. There's no need to paraphrase when it comes to titles, labels, and figures. So we could just say, the railway system in 6 cities in Europe. There are, since only 2 main categories, we'll just place 2 here. After which, in the overview, we get to answer the first part of the task, which is to summarize the information by selecting main features. In a bar graph, the main features are the highest and lowest. And so in the first category, the highest is Paris, while the lowest is Madrid. Meanwhile, in the second category, the highest is Lisbon, while the lowest is still Madrid. After we're done with the overview, we can move on to the body, which needs to prove the overview. And so I've listed down transitions, as well as the key features you can give in each body to prove the overview, starting with the highest, which is Paris, with a figure of 394 kilometers. The next key feature is the lowest, which is Madrid, at 11 kilometers. Then we can compare the two. Since we will not hit the word count with just summarizing the highlights, we also need to make comparisons where relevant. My technique is to compare the highlights that we're giving in the first 2 sentences, which are Paris and Madrid. When I say compare, one way is to get the difference, and the difference between them is 383 kilometers. After which, we can look for the opposite of a difference, which is a similarity. And in the graph, while Lisbon and Rome are close to each other, it seems Berlin and Madrid are even closer. Don't mention the difference between 2 similar figures. Instead, mention what is in common with both of them. In this case, both are less than 50. After we're done with the first body, all we have to do is the exact same thing in the second body. But this time, the highest is not Paris, it is now Lisbon, with 1,927 million. The lowest is still Madrid, with 45 million. And the difference between Lisbon and Madrid is 1,882 million. Now, if you're having difficulty with mathematics, that's normal. You can always choose easier categories or cities to subtract from each other, if not divide or multiply. But for this example, we'll just subtract, and now we can get the similarity again, which is between Berlin and Madrid once more, since both of them are below 50, or exactly 50 for Berlin. Now we're finished with the skeleton of our essay. This is just a rough draft. The next step is to turn it into your own words. There's no need to lay out the essay exactly in this manner all the time. You could even start writing from scratch. Just remember that the overview just needs to give the highlights. And in this case, the highest means distance, so why not make this the longest route is in Paris, while the shortest one is in Madrid. Not only does making the word specific to the bar graph make it sound more natural, it also increases the word count. So meanwhile, in the second category, since we're talking about passengers, the largest number of passengers is in Lisbon, while the smallest figure is in Madrid. Now we can move on to the body. Just make it a bit more personal. We'll start with in kilometers of route. The highest, or let's say the longest, is Paris with 394 kilometers. However, the shortest is in Madrid with 11 kilometers. To compare the two, Paris is longer than Madrid by 383 kilometers. Lastly, the cities with the closest distances are Berlin and Madrid, since both of them are less than 50 kilometers. Now let's get rid of this template. Now it's looking more organic. We just need to finish the second body, starting with in passengers a year. The highest number belongs to Lisbon with 1927 million. In contrast, which is another way for saying however, the smallest figure comes from Madrid, which has only 45 million. To compare the two cities, their difference makes up a huge amount of 1882 million passengers. Lastly, the cities that are closest to each other are Berlin and Madrid, with both being equal to or less than 50 million. And there you have it. We have finished both Body 1 and Body 2. Let's just read from top to bottom our essay and see if it's 150 words. The bar graph shows the railway system in 6 cities in Europe. There are 2 main categories. Overall, in the first category, the longest route is in Paris, while the shortest one is in Madrid. Meanwhile, in the second category, the largest number of passengers is in Lisbon, while the smallest figure is in Madrid. In kilometers of route, the longest is Paris with 394 kilometers. However, the shortest is in Madrid with 11 kilometers. To compare the two, Paris is longer than Madrid by 383 kilometers. Lastly, the cities with the closest distances are Berlin and Madrid, since both of them are less than 50 kilometers. In passengers a year, the highest number belongs to Lisbon with 1,927 million. In contrast, the smallest figure comes from Madrid, which has only 45 million. To compare the two cities, their difference makes up a huge amount of 1,882 million passengers. Lastly, the cities that are closest to each other are Berlin and Madrid, with both being equal to or less than 50 million. And there you have it, 10 minutes. This is 172 words. I could have made it a bit shorter to hit exactly 150, but it's simple enough if you just remember the strategy, and that is lalodis. Focus on the largest before moving on to the lowest for the main highlights, which can be written in the overview. Then move on to the body to give the difference and similarities. That way, you'll be able to answer both tasks and get 7.0. I hope this video has been helpful for you in terms of answering bar graphs. Take note this is also applicable to pie charts and tables. Just identify lalodis. For any questions or comments, please leave a remark in the section below. Also, I'm accessible, or you can contact me through 10minuteielts@gmail.com. If you have any suggestions for what video you'd like me to do next, let me know. And I also provide online coaching through this email address. Thank you for your time, and good luck with your study.